Welcome to Quality Time with MoreSteam. I am your host, Dan Swartwout. Today we are joined by MoreSteam President Peg Pennington. Peg, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, Dan.
As we record, it is the week after MoreSteam's 22nd annual Best Practices for Operational Excellence Conference. What a fantastic week that was, Peg. We had practitioners, thought leaders in the space from all over come and join us to share their experiences, share their ideas, their thoughts. What a great time it was. What are some of your key takeaways from the conference?
Okay, where do I get started? You're so right in terms of thought leadership. So let's just start with two thought leaders that we had. The first one, well, three. We had ASQ and LEI at the conference together. And I don't think that has ever happened. And if you're listening and you don't know, ASQ is the American Society for Quality. They set the standards for people that are taking exams to become certified quality engineers. And then we had Lean Enterprise Institute represented as well. The president, Josh
Josh
Howell, was
Howell.
in as well as John Shook, who okay, I feel like I don't have to introduce him, but I will. I mean, he wrote Learning to See, which has been a worldwide bestseller for those practicing in the lean community, as well as Managing to Learn, and he was president of LEI and just really foundational in distributing that knowledge. So having all 3 of them there at the same event was, it's great.
I was telling people who are not in the world of continuous improvement what it was like having John Shook address the conference. And I said it was like Michael Jordan addressing a basketball camp. I mean, I think that's how I told people what it was like. And John Shook was with Josh Howell. They presented together, and I just thought it was really, really cool that you could have a Q&A with John Shook at our conference.
That was great that John and Josh were both there, but also I think what their presentation was about, which is coaching.
Right.
How to coach people, how to become better at giving feedback, and we all value that, right? We wanna do that in the system of continuous improvement. What was John saying? If you tell people what to do, you take away the ability to think or for them to think. So what you wanna do is to coach, and you need to become a better coach. So their whole activity in their session helping us become better coaches. I thought that was great. It really resonated with the audience, and I heard from multiple attendees that was so worth it. Just to hear from John and
Oh,
Josh.
absolutely. For those of you who don't know, More Steam here is located in Central Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and also located in Central Ohio is Wendy's. And we actually had our conference this year at the Wendy's corporate headquarters, the Dave Thomas Conference Center. That was a fantastic venue.
It was, and thanks so much to Wendy's for hosting us. And really, Stephanie Chen, I think, was the a major impetus for making that happen. And she is an advocate in the community of continuous improvement for networking and getting people together and share best practices. And while Morseam is a company and we sell products to help people improve their training, we still want to get people together to we value that companies can get together and share best practice ideas and learn from each other. I mean, at its core, the OpEx community, I think people that are attracted to this are learners
Right.
and they want to learn from each other. And to have somebody like Stephanie at Wendy say, yeah, I value this. Come to our facility and spend 2.5 days with each other. And Frosties, we had
We had
Frosties, Dan. Those
Frosties,
were pretty amazing.
Frosty Bar. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, the Frosty bar was pretty amazing.
Stephanie Chen from Wendy's gave a presentation called Building by Blending Continuous Improvement at Wendy's, where she shared some of their best practices and then also had some breakout sessions during her presentation. I really liked those breakout sessions. What did you think about those, Peg?
I thought that was great because it gives a chance for just, hey, not only introducing yourself to your neighbor, but having a little challenge to work with your neighbors through that and see what they think and to have a problem and then reflect on that together. You get to know them a little bit more. And again, that leads to deeper connections that you take away from the conference. I also thought what Wendy's was doing was very interesting in terms of blending their, strategy, automation, continuous improvement together to get those best practices for their organization. So they weren't just a CI team, but they were blending many other teams together to look at, what do they need to do to support this value stream? So, yeah, great job, Wendy's. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I thought it was really cool because as we're doing these breakout sessions during a Wendy's presentation, food service industry, people are interacting from the food service industry, from manufacturing, from healthcare, from government, and you're getting these individuals from all sorts of sectors to share their practices with each other that you can take those best practices from other industries and see how they can apply to your industry as well. I thought that was really cool.
I thought that was great. One thing I've been reflecting on the Thomas Jefferson presentation,
Yes.
Thomas Jefferson University and the medical
Mhm.
center, when they talked about clinicians, they're great at diagnosing symptoms and they can do that in 5 minutes, but it takes 3 hours to check somebody out of the hospital. Like nobody ever works on that.
Right.
And I think that idea somehow that resonated with me that we have, like, maybe lab technicians. They're trained to be the best in the lab at doing their specific science, but really not how does this work within the context of a process? And they said that so eloquently of like, I can diagnose a patient in 5 minutes for a heart attack and do something and get started, but you might be waiting and waiting and waiting to check out of the hospital because we don't work on process and just that, hey, we need to do both. Okay. And we have to do both well.
That was a great presentation from Dr. Mary Wright Cooper and Chika Odiomene from TJU. And I know, Peg, it's 2024, so you cannot have any kind of conference without discussing, in some aspect, artificial intelligence. And we had one of the best this year at the BP4 OpEx conference.
Yeah, Professor Nate Craig with the Fisher College of Business. He is a widely sought after professor. He teaches in the executive MBA program. He teaches in their data analytics program. He teaches in a program for JP Chase Morgan. So let me just tell you, he's in high demand. So the fact that he could come and share with us some thoughts on working with generative AI that just kicked off our conference. To kind of talk about, hey, what's next? And he gave us good tips to just start working with generative AI. So I really appreciated that from Nate and just saying, hey, out there in the community, you have to get started. You have to try working with this and, giving us those tips to get better answers from working with generative AI. So that was a great presentation.
One of the things I really appreciated during that presentation is it's called, for example, one of the AI platforms, it's called Chat GPT. But some people don't really take advantage of the chat function. You give it a prompt, you give it a question, you give it a command, it gives you an answer. Well, then you can have it refine the answer by engaging in a dialogue, actually chatting
Mhm.
with the AI.
Yeah, he talked about that we don't go far enough in trying to get a better answer, and once we get the answer, if we don't like it, that put in more assumptions, have it assume a role,
Mhm.
that we can go further and further with those discussions to refine the answers that we're getting back.
That was a fantastic first day. Greif was there. That was a really powerful presentation, creating value through a rapid cycle Lean Six Sigma deployment. They did some stuff fast and they saw some immediate results. Greif did.
I was really glad Toby Locke, he's the vice president of operational excellence for Greif, and he brought along Kim
Mhm.
Kellerman, who is his leader. She sits on the senior leadership team for Greif. And that kind of tells you how important it is for the organization that she was in attendance. Toby and his team have done an amazing job. First, that they have commitment at the C suite level for operational excellence. And what I've seen while working with them is just their commitment to it and holding people accountable. So, one of the things that I took away was they showed this accountability ladder.
Right.
So when they're educating people, there's expectation that you're going to be committed to the training, that you're going to work on a project, and we're here to help you on that project. And I've seen this slide from Greif before, but I still let me talk about it because I think it's so good when they talk about behaviors of
Mhm.
champions or behaviors of victims. And those behaviors of the champion, they call them above the line, that you acknowledge reality, ownership, find solutions, make it happen, versus that, victim behaviors, wait and see, excuses, blaming, denial, you're not accountable. I just seeing that, and when you have a problem, it's do you jump to that victim behavior or do you jump to the accountability behavior? And I think reinforcing that with everybody was I think it's always good to see that again.
And I have to say, Toby was a really engaging speaker. I think I could I think I could see him talk on just about any topic. They talk about so speakers, you could watch them read the phone book. I think like with Toby, if he read the phone book, it would still be a great presentation.
It would, and that's why and Toby's a graduate of the Masters of Business Operational Excellence program, which we had multiple
Mhm.
graduates in the, audience, and Toby was the speaker nominated by his class, and I think it was a class of at least
Wow.
35 to speak at graduation. So, also a really good storyteller. If you recall,
Yes.
he told the story about the pole vaulter and everybody in the stadium watching this pole vaulter win, which is amazing that the pole vaulter was blind. So he kinda goes through that whole story and thinking about what can you achieve if, that perseverance and trying, even when you have things stacked against you.
If Toby was a football coach, I would have dropped and give him 20 immediately.
I was thinking I'm at the church of operational excellence.
I think there is a new and renewed and obviously very important focus on quality out there right now. And that was definitely a theme at our conference this year. You already mentioned ASQ, and we had the CEO of ASQ, an interview with him discussing quality and the things that ASQ is doing to push quality, to emphasize quality. And people got to talk with him and give suggestions and take recommendations. And that was really outstanding. Just Sid, who's the CEO of ASQ, taking that time to just discuss quality with a room full of people who are devoted to quality.
Absolutely, and thinking that quality, it's at the needs to be in the C-suite conversation. When you look at some of the recalls that have happened
Right.
recently and, other events. I mean, if we don't do our job, people can die. And I know that sounds really drastic, but that's true. So having that focus on doing it right the first time. So him showing up and communicating and saying, "Yeah, we're here. We care about this. We want to work with more organizations to instill that within the organization."
And I think when you're talking about the focus on quality at the highest levels of an organization, one of the things that was great was we had Bill Walton, who is the soon to be retiring CEO of Ardagh Glass Packaging North America. And he gave a presentation on quality as a North Star for operational strategy. So when you see a CEO of a large organization who's talking to a room full of people devoted to quality, that our mission as an organization has to be a mission of quality, that's a really powerful statement.
I think the fact that he took the time to drive over from Indianapolis and come and talk to us tells us how important it is. And sharing his story. He shared a great story. He talked about the hedgehog concept, what as quality, what is your true North Star? And do you remember he said that I mean, he started as a janitor.
Right.
Now he said he was a janitor for 2 weeks, but he did start as a janitor and worked his way up in the organization. He was, became a line supervisor, and it was actually somebody else in the organization that said, "Hey, we're not gonna focus on volume." It was actually at a bottling factory or a somebody that made cans, I believe, where he said, "Hey, volume is how we always talked about everything, just make more." And this person came in and said, "We're gonna work on quality."
Hmm.
And that's when Bill got that, "Hey, this is what works. We're not reworking things. We're gonna do it right the first time." And he really talked about that variation, is the enemy of quality. And it felt is like this is kind of an old school, right? I'm here, this is old school, but it's right. This is foundational. So great presentation.
One of the things you could tell is how much Bill was respected and admired as a leader is he just recently announced his retirement, and a member of his team was there and had some very moving things to say about Bill as a leader. And you might not expect to go to a conference on operational excellence and have an emotional moment, but I think everyone did there,
I was an emotional moment.
right?
I I think, somebody on my team was like, "We had people cry at our
I
conference,"
know.
like, from a good thing that they're impacted, so, yeah, that was amazing.
You've been on the podcast before, so thanks for being on the podcast again. Emmanuel Aouad from Stripe has been on the podcast, and he gave a presentation called Human Experience Architecture. You have to hear people before you can go here. I really liked that presentation and how he focused on building trust with your team. Could you talk a little bit about that, Peg?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say that presentation followed Shook's coaching, so I don't think we actually had that planned. But we finished up with John and how are you being a good coach and questioning. And then Emmanuel comes along with this trust
Uh
equity.
huh.
And I was like, wow, that couldn't be timed
No,
better
I know.
because his presentation was all about you have to know where your people are. You have to meet them where they're at. You have to spend time with them before you're just coming along and I'm supervising you or managing you. And that gave me definitely during that presentation, I was thinking, I have to spend more time with these people in my organization. I'm not spending enough time with them just getting to know them. That is so important. So I really enjoyed that presentation and I think it touched a lot of people.
It definitely did, and I was looking at that through a couple of lenses. One of the lenses I was looking at that through was in my days as a touring stand-up comedian, one of the no comedian likes to go and follow somebody who's absolutely crushing the room. You know, you want to follow somebody who's doing good, but not so good that it makes your life difficult. And could you imagine following John Shook at a conference on operational excellence? And Emmanuel killed it. He was fantastic.
He did, and that was it was about culture and creating trust. So if you're gonna be a change management leader, that you have to work on that trust first. So people have trust in you that we're gonna change this process together versus just kinda coming in. I would say very sometimes I can be very engineering and just wanna make things happen versus taking people through the change process. But it even begins before that, by building trust.
That second day, it starts off with Josh Howell and John Shook, LEI, Emmanuel. Then we got to Baptist Health South Florida. Again, healthcare. So we're going from all sorts of different industries and hearing all sorts of perspectives. We had Maria Del Carmen Truba and Michael Berger. Is it Berger or Berger?
Burger.
Berger. Okay. Because
Yeah.
I knew
So
the name spelled the same way. I knew somebody who was a Berger. But they gave a great presentation, and I liked hearing about all of the things they are doing down in the Miami area. And one of the hospitals they showed looked like a resort hotel.
I was thinking that when she put that picture up there with the palm trees, and I'm like, "Man, if you're looking out the window, you're gonna wanna get outside. This looks really nice."
That was their presentation was called "Driving High Reliability at Baptist Health, Scaling Up with More Steam," and they've been able to do a lot of great things down there.
Absolutely, and Maria started with getting hired during COVID.
Right.
Do you remember when she told
Yes.
that story, like, "I got my ID in the parking lot somewhere," like, I met somebody and got an ID in the parking lot. She had no laptop, she had no email address, and I'm sure it probably felt like, "Did I really just get hired here?" But they were so crushed during that time.
Mhm.
But that's when she started and had to get her feet wet at the hospital. But what I really liked, they're doing a lot of wonderful things and impacting healthcare for
Right.
people. Okay, so making, lead times better through the emergency room. Michael showed how they're using Process Playground,
Mhm.
which is a MoreSteam process modeling to improve the flow through their hospital, and he took people through it very simply of, "Here's why we do it. We wanna show the physicians, get their buy-in to these changes we're making, and this is if we make change A, this is what it's gonna look like if we make change B." And allows them the flexibility to put in multiple different countermeasures and see which one is the best. So that was, I think, a really good hands-on presentation where they're actually in engine room showing that. I was really impressed.
That was a lot of fun, and as I talked about the different sectors, we go from healthcare with Baptist Health South Florida, glass bottles with Ardagh Group, bottling glass containers, to when you consider operational excellence, Lean Six Sigma, the first thing most people think about is manufacturing. And so then we go from those areas to General Motors, where we had Rob Whaley and Dave Dupree, the evolution of operational excellence at General Motors. So you get a chance to see how these principles still work at a high level where they kind of evolved originally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I this is where I think it doesn't matter what organization you're from because you can keep learning from each other. And Rob and Dave, they were showing, hey, what's their model? Okay,
Mhm.
what model are they using? So they have guiding principles that go into systems, and then they look at tools and then results. But everybody could kind of take away because they spend a lot of time talking about what's their model for continuous improvement. Actually, what's their model for taking strategy and bringing that down to things that we're going to work on, their deployment of the strategy was great. So I think a lot of learning there, but that doesn't matter if you're in healthcare
Mhm.
or in food service, you can learn from General
Oh,
Motors.
absolutely. I really liked Dave and Rob. They seemed like really friendly guys I'd like just to get to know outside of the world of continuous improvement. I'd like to hang out with those guys.
We did some hanging out at the conference though too,
We
right?
did because there was a reception dinner on Tuesday night or Wednesday night. There was a reception dinner on Wednesday night. That was a lot of fun at the Country Club at Muirfield. Got to play some icebreaker type games to meet people and interact, and that was a lot of fun.
Well, I think that activity coming up with our, continuous improvement joke was great. I don't remember the joke that won, but I do remember a regression model walked into a bar, and as soon as I read that, I was like, "This has gotta be the winner," and they had something about coefficients in there, and I'm like, regression model walking into a bar." That was great. Do you have the joke?
I will find the joke, but one of the things I wanted to point out is that we had each table was tasked with writing a joke about continuous improvement, a joke about operational excellence, and then we'd pass around the jokes, grade the jokes, and reward the winner and the loser. Now, some people did use AI to come up with a joke, which meant that 3 tables had the exact same joke, Peg, and I'm going to share that joke. 3 tables came up with this joke, so this is the most popular continuous improvement joke according to AI. What type of control chart do you use for tracking drug testing urine samples? A P chart. So there you go. That is the number one continuous improvement joke. According to artificial intelligence, that P chart joke was not great. I don't think generative AI could last 3 minutes at your local open mic. In fact, I asked generative AI the following questions. How funny is generative artificial intelligence? If I ask generative AI to write a joke, how funny will that joke be? And the answer I got was, in part, in summary, while generative AI can produce jokes and even occasionally be funny, it is not yet capable of consistently delivering humor that matches human creativity and emotional depth. And I think that was proven at our conference because the winning joke was not produced with generative AI. It was written by people working together. I will find that joke and share that joke on an upcoming episode of Quality Time with MoreSteam. Something else that wasn't written by generative AI are the words to this short break. MoreSteam's enterprise process improvement platform includes the tools, training, and software you need to transform your organization into a problem-solving powerhouse. Join the ranks of Fortune 500 companies that trust MoreSteam for their enterprise process improvement. Our integrated approach featuring training, project tracking and execution, simulations, and statistical analysis empowers your team to create a culture where structured problem solving becomes second nature. Visit moresteam.com to learn more. Now, back to my conversation with Peg Pennington about the MoreSteam Best Practices for Operational Excellence Conference. We had a happy hour at a local brewery on Thursday night. That was a lot of fun as well. Got to talk for a while with Gustavo Laga from Medtronic at that happy hour. He gave a great presentation. And not only that, he's a really funny guy.
He is, and, he talked on Thursday.
Yes. Closed out the conference.
He closed out the conference and just has had an amazing
Uh huh.
career in the continuous improvement space, and now he's at Medtronic working in their entire he's head of their quality organization, head of continuous
Hmm.
improvement in the quality organization, so, wow, big place to, play, and what they're doing at Medtronics to instill problem solving close to where the work is done. That was really good.
Friday, of course, is the workshops. It's a half day workshops on various more steam products that we offer, continuous improvement principles. As you reflect on the conference, it's 2.5 days with people in this space, in this industry. As you leave the conference on Friday afternoon, what are your feelings as you tackle the next week, the next month? What do you take away from this conference, and how does it inspire you as you move forward throughout the rest of the year?
Well, first of all, you're tired but motivated. So I know those are kind of two disparate emotions. So you're tired from wow, that was effort to put that together and bring all the customers together, but then you're motivated because you heard all these good ideas and you want to work with your team to follow up that we're hearing from customers, could you do this? Could you do that? So that gives you ideas to go forward with new products and services. So I'm motivated to do that, but just also the new relationships that I made because I might be dealing with a customer, but I never got to meet them face to face. Then you have that opportunity and you're like, okay, well, let's follow up. Let's do something more.
It was fun getting to meet the people I've maybe just exchanged emails with or heard about. And there's a lot of fun people who are obviously very smart, very good at what they do, but just a lot of fun to be around. I had a really good time interacting with people.
I think people forget, "Hey, I need to get out and I need to see people," and it just gives you that spark to, go somewhere, take a lot of notes, and then you can go back and talk to your team like, "Hey, I had an idea. Could we do something else? Could we try something different?" So I think you need that to get rejuvenated every once in a while, and we're here to help do that.
Peg, this was the 22nd annual BP for OpX
Oh,
conference. You've been with MoreSteam since 2018. Did you attend the conference before you became a part of MoreSteam?
I did. I don't believe I was at the first conference, but I was at the second one. Before I came on as president, I've been a customer since '02.
Wow.
Yeah, so long term. So maybe I wasn't at the first conference. Well, that would be, yeah, '02 for me when Ohio State started, partnering with MoreSteam. The first comp that I went to was at Fidelity in Covington, and there was probably 12 or 16 people there.
That's it?
Yeah, that was the conference, yeah.
That's really cool because I didn't have that perspective beforehand to see a room
It
full of people, so
it
many
was a
people
little
there.
U-shaped, just one little like, we're in a conference room, one little U-shaped table.
It's amazing to think about the growth of the conference, and I just am excited to see what happens next year and the year after that. And I have to say as well, one of the things I enjoyed about the conference is I got a lot of steps in because I was one of the people with the microphones going out into the audience to make sure that everyone had a microphone when they were talking to the presenters or talking to each other so that everyone could be heard. So I loved getting all those steps in. I loved getting all the ideas. I loved interacting with people. It was a really good conference.
Speaking of that I like that all more steam is there.
Mhm,
I think that's super important that we wanna communicate OpEx, this is our customers, to the people that build our software.
mhm.
So we have all these computer scientists, but I want them to hear from the OpEx community. Not only should we be building software using the continuous improvement body of knowledge, but I want them to get to know our customers and interact with our customers. We're never going to have standard work for everything they run into. But if they know who our customers are, they're going to make better decisions
Mhm.
at that point of building software. So we have always had everybody there. And I think that's great that we can stop building software for a few days to make that happen.
There were frosties, there were friendships, there were lots of great ideas. What a great conference, Peg, and thank you so much for joining me here on Quality Time with More Steam to talk about it.
Thanks, Dan.
And thank you for listening to Quality Time with More Steam. You can email the show at qualitytime@moresteam.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast service. Also, please go ahead and visit our website, moresteam.com, to learn about the software and tools that can help you solve problems, eliminate waste, and do things better. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more Quality Time with More Steam. Thanks again.